There are a lot of black men, and I know a few that will go to the doctor, and their reason for going was because they didn't want to get nagged by their significant other. Got their name on the bottom. It says Nelly, special co-host. Speak now, hold your peace. Same thing for David. They come on the show. They my number one hitter. Every time there's a shooting, people are saying, we need more gun control.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace, a live broadcast with real conversations about community social issues, politics, business, health, self-care, and more. We broadcast live on the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace Facebook group and the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace YouTube channel. And now, here's your host, Saywuddafeel Dre.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace. I'm Saywuddafeel Dre, and today we got a powerful show. I got two guests with me that's going to bless you with some knowledge. But I'm going to introduce you to them. But I want to talk about fatherhood. Today we're going to be talking about fatherhood and just all aspects of it from a black male perspective. And who better to do that with than three black men? All right. Now, back in the day, let me see here. What do we have? We had Good Times. We had James Evans Jr., Evans Sr. He ain't play that, y'all. Y'all know he ain't play that. We had Carl Winslow, took care of his family. We had My Wife and Kids. I'm going to bring it up for some of y'all who ain't old enough to, remember the rest of that. We had, not Carl. We had Michael Kyle. All right. And we had Philip Banks, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So, we've always had fathers, man. So the myth of, black fathers ain't present, man. We going to dismiss that. But today, I got some heavy hitters with me again today, man. I got my man, Matt Prestbury, and I got Orin, Dexter, Howard. I'm telling you, man, these brothers, I haven't known them for long. I reached out to them, asked to do the show, and they actually did it. Said yes, and it's a blessing to have them on here. So, gentlemen, what's going on, y'all?
Peace. Thanks for having me.
No doubt.
Definitely.
No doubt. I'm not gonna waste any time, but I do want to. I want to, give a little information about you now. Matt, can you tell us about Black Fathers, the Facebook group?
Absolutely. But before I do that, I have to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, I saw you skipped a very, very important black TV father, and we all know who that is. So we gonna keep pushing past that one.
Okay,
I know it's a little controversial, but as a character who was a father, he was the man.
As a character, you know what? Shame on me. You know what, man? And see what?
Yes,
that's
sir.
why I need to be called out on that, because I'm just like, and it's crazy because I can care less about what people think. I don't know. It's my subconscious mind to not put Cliff Huxtable in there.
Yeah,
that's a character,
I
y'all.
If it was intentional or not. But,
it kind of was. It just, it was, because who could forget when you think about black violence, you think about them first. So my bad, y'all. So don't stop watching. All right.
separate the man from the character.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Right.
See, I couldn't separate reality from the real thing.
Yeah.
So my bad, y'all. And
I get it. It's all good.
No doubt, man. Tell us about yourself, brother.
To your question, so Black Fathers was started in 2008. I've been working, husband, father, former professional educator, always going to be an educator, just maybe not professionally. But anyway, author and mentor to several of my former students. So I've been working with fathers for over 20 years, bringing fathers together in social aspects, outings and stuff. Let's get up, go to the park, yada, yada, doing some kind of workshops for fathers, and as well as formulating two not organizations, but groups in two of the public schools I worked in. So I was doing all of that, and then I got the opportunity to get on Facebook finally, because when I first heard about Facebook, that's when you had to be in college. You could only, if you was only a college student, that's the only way you could get on. So I had to wait for a little bit,
Right,
and
right,
then when I was able to get on, then I saw the opportunity to create this space, because I looked around and really didn't see very many representations of fathers, period, of any color, white, Asian, whatever race, whatever you call it, ethnicity, and then even less of ones that look like me. You get the TV show fathers, but outside of that, like, how much did we have that we could really look at and appreciate and respect, and think that this is someone that I would like to model myself after. It
right,
wasn't a whole lot of that when you look around in mainstream media, and oftentimes fathers in a general sense are characterized as buffoons, and they can't handle the kids, and the wife leaves, and the kids just start going haywire and all of this stuff. So I really wanted to create a space where we could represent ourselves, and we didn't rely on anybody to do it for us, and do it very inaccurately. There was no reason to. So once I got on there and I saw that, I was like, boom, I'm gonna make this group. And I made it hyper specific because I know, as a Black man, a lot of the challenges that we face that other people would never even understand, And I didn't want to, as much as I loved bringing fathers together of all races and backgrounds when I was doing in-person events and working in the schools and stuff like that. Nothing was exclusionary, but for this group, I knew it had to be a space just for us, so we could represent, so we could connect with one another, and we could be around people who at least had some understanding. You have other groups where it's all different races, and it's things you got to explain. You got to deal when a Black man gets murdered. Then you have people who are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they did that." But in our group, it's like it's every day for us. We get
right,
it.
right,
So it's that kind of connection, that was really important. Where we didn't want to be in a space where we had to explain anything to anybody. We had to tell people, no, this is not the reality just because you see it that way. And you got this privilege that helps you not have to navigate the way we have to navigate. So we have a real general understanding of a lot of the similarities and things that we have to go through just based on the color of our skin. So
right.
that's what it's really all about: being a support network for one another, giving each other resources, information, advice, all of that kind of stuff. That's really what the group is about.
Right. And how many members are in that group?
94,000.
See, I want everybody to hear that. Say that one more time.
Yes, sir. 94. 94, like the year I graduated. 94,000.
94,000. 94,000
Yes,
Black
sir.
men.
And growing. We're going to be at 100K soon. We are growing. We
Absolutely.
definitely growing.
Absolutely. And before I get to you, Orin, I just want to say something about something you mentioned about that connection we have. Let me tell you, man, when I'm in the
Mhm.
store and I walk past a Black man and we ain't got to say nothing. We ain't got nothing has to come out our mouth. We
Yes,
just be like,
sir.
"What's up, bro?" Like,
You know it.
you know what I'm saying? It's just like
Yep.
it's that
You know it.
connection. It's like, yo, we going through the same struggles, we going through the same joys. Like only you know me, and only
Absolutely.
I know you. It's just that connection, and that's why I probably not to be mean. Like I speak to most people, but when I see a brother, it's just like, what's up,
It's
bro?
different. Yeah.
Like,
It's
yeah, like
definitely
same
different.
struggles.
Yeah.
Even like with your
Yeah.
my frat brothers. It's that's too. Like, we went through some things. We know the same things. We know 750,000 people, brothers, went through whatever you went through in terms of what the knowledge we know, the history and all that. So
Hmm.
I get that connection, man. Orin, brother,
Yeah.
tell us about. Okay, what you say? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say the thing that I love about it also when I see them, because really there was a young Black father who was part of the inspiration for me forming the group. And
Mhm.
I was at a playground one time with my kids, young kids, and I took them to the playground and I saw this young guy walking up with a child, I presume to be his child, and he had a diaper in his back pocket. He didn't have no diaper bag. He didn't have no bag whatsoever. He had the diaper in his back pocket, and that's how we do. We father by any means necessary. So when I saw that, and when I see Black men all over, the thing that's so beautiful to me why I love that is because we are every day in our walk and the things that we do, we are shattering stereotypes and we are murdering myths. So I love it when I see it because it just shows how much so we are really the norm and not the exception. People can think we the exception to the rule. People can think we out here as these mythical, unicorn creatures or whatever, but we not. We
Right,
out
right,
here in mass,
right.
dedicated to our children.
Amen. Absolutely. Or let us know, man.
Yeah.
Tell us
So,
about yourself. Tell us about yourself, man.
well, first I gotta correct because Matt is an ultimate professional. I don't know why he alluded to why he's not. He definitely is. I follow his lead when he does things, and
Good, thanks, bro.
grateful for him as well. So I just want to start off by saying that um, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a therapist. I have been in the field for over 25 years. I am a father of a 19-year-old son, and I had community village to help support me, but I was the primary caretaker of my son every day of his life for the last 19 years, and hopefully, however long he needs me. Um, my private practice, I see a lot of black fathers and as well as mothers and families and couples and things like that. So I get a chance to experience their journey along the way. Um, in the community, I do a lot of things too. I run the Boys and Girls Club for the city that I live in, and get a chance to work with black fathers that's coaching, trying to connect their kids to activities and things like that. So I'm really grateful to create and be around, like Matt spoke to earlier, this busting of the myth of black fathers and their involvement or lack thereof, or the perception of it. And lastly, I'm a professor at a university where I teach graduate school students how to work with black fathers as well as other family members as well. So it's true to my heart.
Right. Definitely, man. Let me ask y'all something, and I'm gonna get right started. How important you think it is to for the world to know that black fathers exist? Like I know you guys just talked about it, but like when I and I there's a question about this later on in the show, but
Mhm.
um when I was with my daughters when they were younger, take them to the store, um oh now that's what's up. I give you props
Mhm.
for you ain't gotta give me props for taking care of my daughter. You know what I mean? Like this is what I do. Like would you give a mom props for if you see the mom in there doing shopping? You know what I'm saying with the daughters? Probably not. But one thing I that just bothered me a little bit. But you giving me props for something that I'm supposed to do, something that I want to do, something that I'm obligated to do, and something that I should do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How important is that? How important is it to get it out there to let people know that fathers exist and we don't need no props, man? Like, how important is that to y'all?
Can I take
You
this
want to
one?
go first? Go ahead, Mike.
Absolutely.
Certainly. For me, the importance lies in one, the fact that perception so oftentimes shapes reality. And I stand on that. And I say that very often because when you only know one side of a situation, then that's what you base everything on. You base your thinking, you base your actions. So when there are people out here who have only known black men to be criminals, and that's what you automatically think of us, then there are things and ways in which you will behave that slight us and sometimes really affect our lives terribly. And you look at the judicial system, look at the police. When you see a black man and you automatically think this man is a menace, this man is a monster, or you go into family court and the judge automatically thinks that you're a deadbeat because that's all he's ever heard, or he's seen so many people come in who may fit the narrative, but that doesn't mean it's fits everybody across the board. So you create that perception in your mind, and that shapes how you treat us. So it is important to me that everybody gets the full picture, right? And then you do with that as you will. You can decide you still want to be a racist schmuck. You can decide you still want to do whatever. but the truth is out there. You can deny it if you want, but at least it is out there. And then the other thing, I know I've seen and I've heard from people who have contacted me and said, you know what, this really did change the way that I look at things, because all I've known is this, all I've ever heard is this, especially younger people, this is all I've been taught. They don't have that many experiences. So it's like a lot of things in our life, how we form our biases. A lot of times is because we only have one side of the picture. We only get one perspective. So it is important that we get a full perspective and a full picture of who we are. The other thing about it is that it's important for our children to see and to feel like there is value in us as fathers, to see us being respected and not treated like criminals, and not looked past and ignored and all of those sorts of things. It's important for our children, especially our sons, because how can they value the idea of being a father when they grow up if they don't ever see their father being valued? They don't see their uncles and grandfathers, they don't see them being valued as men, as fathers. So that's where their value comes from, seeing us, not only from seeing the actions that we take in our household. And that's why a lot of people, they'll say, well, I only need it from my kids, and I only, as long as I'm doing for them, I'm good. And that's all well and good. But when these kids go out into society and they see a lot of these things and they get these stereotypes and they see us not being respected necessarily in the way that we should be, it makes a difference to them for sure. So I think it's very important, and we got to have that representation. Representation all around is hugely important. I always think about Black Panther and how much that meant to everybody to see that character, a black man, as a superhero and doing all these things. Representation matters, and it's important that society gets the full picture, but more importantly than anything, that our kids really see that we are valued and there is value in being a responsible father.
Right, right, and I couldn't agree with you more. I honestly think, like, you know, children see a lot of things, and there's times where I when I was my daughters were younger, I may say something, you know, watching the game, and I say something, and they pick up on everything. They pick up on everything that I do, and they watch. And sometimes it's not perfect. Like they just know, like they just pick up on certain things. So I was very careful about certain things I do with my daughters. I wasn't perfect, but sometimes I let a curse slip out when I'm watching a game or something. But one thing I like to do that they picked up on, and I know they picked up on it, is that taking them out, opening doors, car doors. Sometimes they get to the door and they just wait for me to come around. Sometimes they just get in. But, I set that presence, and it's just like, as far as us, they value me. They value me because I do those things. And I think they value me because they see me and their mom and, how family orientated we are. And, and I really think, I think you're right. It does, it does make a difference if they value something, if they see something that they value, they're gonna probably, especially our sons. I don't have a son, but men with fathers with sons, that's dad, and I'm gonna do what dad do. They want to be like
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Even in your darkest moment, and some dads made some mistakes along the way, maybe locked up, whatever. But children they're the most forgiving people in the world, and they're gonna forgive you no matter what you do. They're gonna love you. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Um,
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I was going to take it from a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first thing is Black fathers, especially African American Black fathers, should be studied as a point of growth and resilience for everybody. See, we often and people often reflect on Black fathers and the result of what's happened to them. But if you think about Black fathers in this country and you study the history, and we know our history, then you know that from the second arrival of Black fathers coming here, um, this has been a perpetual state of institutionalized policies, practices, laws, and everything else that help suppress the role of the Black father, that help take the Black father out of the home, that help redefine where the Black father could participate. And so we're so familiar with talking about the results of it, but the resilience is what's amazing about this. So the question that was asked is, should we be bringing more Black fathers to attention? I'm kind of summarizing it, but the greater question that I ask is, why aren't everybody else like Black fathers? Because that is a resilient group. We're talking about, the way we discipline was a matter of policy and law here. The way support our children was a matter of policy and law. And I can talk more specifically about it. But like, for example, I used to say when Black codes or Jim Crow law, one of the things I teach is like when you're walking down the street as a Black father with your child during Jim Crow, it was the law that a white person could discipline your child if your child was too loud walking down the street. And so Black fathers had to become resilient. They had to figure out a way to keep their children safe no matter what the circumstances. So what they did is they jumped on them first to appease the white person from going after your child. And so that became something that was institutionalized and generational. And then all of a sudden now, sometimes we as Black fathers and people think that no, spare the rod, spoil the child. No, that's not what that meant. My point to you is that the resilience, the fact that we still show up every day, the fact that there's still laws that take Black lives, the fact that there's still realities that keep Black men sick and keep Black men from education and keep Black men from getting jobs and all those other things, and still can show up every day for their child. That's an amazing story. It's a tale that should be told for generations to come, in my
Yeah.
humble opinion.
I share.
And it makes sense what you're saying too, because it's just like we're so strong. They always say, it's a cliche. We got to be 3 times better. So just imagine if we were all on an equal level, like an equal playing field. We'd outshine just about everybody and everything, But the resilience, like you said, we've been through a lot, and we just keep going. We're a strong Black nation, like we strong Black race, man. And it's just like, we've been through so much that we could survive in a lot of if stuff was to happen, the people not eating and all of that. I think we'd be the main ones that would be able to survive through all of that.
We would, for sure.
I think so. And that's so, I had this conversation with someone at my job, and they freaking out, and I'm just like, yo, is everything okay? She wasn't an African American. I was like, everything okay? She's like, oh no, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do. I'm like, yo, thinking maybe something wrong with her kids. What happened was, I think she was saying that her BMW wasn't going to be ready at 5:00, and she's going to miss her flight. She's going to Florida. And I'm just like, man, that's it? And if it was something like, oh, your car you need an engine and you don't have the money, you really freak out. Us, we figure out a way. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I get what you're saying, man. You totally on point with it. Definitely on point with it. So.
And that goes back to what I was saying as far as fathering by any means necessary. That's one thing. Like, we're gonna do the thing. Like, we're gonna make it happen.
Right.
So,
right.
and that's what I love really about the group, is that we not only everybody has that kind of the attitude of perseverance, but at the same time we offer so much advice and so much of a resource and support and encourage each other. So even though if you had to handle it alone and figure it out, you could. But it's better if somebody give you the recipe. You ain't got to figure out how to bake the cake on your own. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
That's the kind of thing that we do. Somebody got the eggs, somebody got the flour, and we're gonna come together and make it happen.
Yeah.
Versus, you feeling like you out there alone and you got to do everything. So.
Right.
And one of the things that's so important to me, and why I'm so grateful for Matt and organizations similar to what he does, is that we're trying to shift ourselves out of the John Henryism, this concept of we're going to work our bodies to death, and we're going to be in a particular role where we can't be present anymore. Like, our definition is strictly based on what we do, the inability not to show emotion, the inability to get a job done, and all those things that actually break down the black body, break down the black man, and learning how to understand that our emotions are valid and important. And when you have platforms like the Black Fathers Foundation and what you're trying to do, Dre, it makes it normalized, because 20 years ago, maybe we don't have this conversation in the same way.
Right.
40 years ago, maybe we don't have this conversation in the same way. And so we got to keep pushing the agenda for black men to understand that they're enough. They don't have to do everything. They're enough just simply as they are, and understand the power of being enough so that you can give back and you can do the things that you need to do to break the generational uh, uh, um, dysfunction that some of our families have, where don't talk about mental health, don't talk about health, don't talk about, just work your fingers to the bone, those kind of things. And so that's the hope that I have as we move forward, that we continue to get to not just 100,000, make it an easy mail, Matt.
Right.
Yes, sir. I
Absolutely.
receive it. I receive it.
I'm
For
gonna
sure.
I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I want to ask both of y'all. Well, I got a question for you, Orin. I got a question for you, Matt. For Orin, I'm gonna ask you first. You mentioned that your son is 19. You raised him
Mm-hmm.
since he was born.
Mm-hmm.
What was your biggest challenge with that?
My biggest challenge I'm actually experiencing now. What I tell parents all the time is that from 0 to 18, you want to see all the drama you can with your children. That's a training ground for development. So when they're under your roof, you can be there. You can support the process and stuff like that. And so I did all the things that I knew to do with the resources that I have, and yet and still, in my son's senior year, not only did he have to battle the pandemic, but he had to battle being robbed at gunpoint,
Mm.
and broad daylight, and at the mall at 5 o'clock. Not only did he
Wow.
not have to deal with that, when he got to college, a predominantly white institution, he had to bear witness to a shooting right in front of him on campus with the shooter running past him. And so what I'm
Wow.
saying, that the toughest challenges that I've had to face or continue to have to face is that we can't protect them from everything, and there's no myth. So you can't pretend like, oh, he's hanging, he doesn't sell drugs, he doesn't do drugs, and yet he still sees some of the things from violent spaces that people project on the other people. So you can't really run from that. I still have to worry about whether or not, when he's out and about, whether he's going to get pulled over, what that's going to look like. He carries a little legal card with him, that hopefully he can get to and pull out if something ever happens. And so
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things, the things that I can't control, the things about safety that we want our children to have, has been the primary thing for me, and what I actually try and help other fathers to wrap their head around as well.
Yeah, man. I totally feel you, man. My daughter started college in August.
Mm.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. There was some challenges. Some of the stuff that she experienced some life stuff, and I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for me because I can't do nothing about it. You know what I mean? It's just like I want to go up there. I can do something, but
Yeah.
I have to pull back and just let her handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to the point where it's just like she handled it very well, and to the point where I was almost in tears, man, like because I'm proud of her. And I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you, bro, she had, I don't know, maybe 5 classes the first semester, and this semester I think she's got 6 or 7. But
Mm-hmm.
when I tell you, those books, those teachers, and all those professors at that college,
Mm-hmm.
granted that she's learning, but those lessons she learned that first semester and the second semester, I pay double the amount of tuition that I'm paying for her to
Mm-hmm.
learn from them, those things that she learned from. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't go deep into it like on here, but we can share that later. But
Mm-hmm.
it was stuff like, I'm like, kept me up at night, like,
Mm-hmm.
and
But
with
you
us,
did do something now. Like, I gotta push. You did do something. You played a role. You did what you think was right. You understood the greater lesson that she has to experience some things, but you never left her side, and that is invaluable.
right?
Invaluable.
Yeah, yeah. And the good thing is that even though she's older, and she's 18, she's still, we give her that room to make her own decisions. And she, with all that, even though we give her, we give her a space, we don't tell her what to do, she still comes to us because of the way we give the advice. We don't tell her
Mm-hmm.
to do it. We you ask for our opinion, this is what it is. We give you the tools to make the decision. Like, I'm not giving you the answers to the test. What I'm doing is I'm giving you the reading passage that will help you find that answer. And it's
Mm.
hard for not just the dad or mom too, but for me it was just like straight up, like it's hard, man, and it gets easier, but just to sit back and have to just let her learn from it. I just want to go help her so bad. It was tough for me, man. It was real tough,
Absolutely.
So big challenge, man. Um, Matt, I want to ask you something, man. And this is a question in general. What do you think is the toughest? And I know you probably seen this in the group. You got some questions about this in the group. But what do you think is the toughest thing about being a single parent dad?
That's a great question. I think probably the toughest thing is is the day to day of handling it and still working to keep your mental together and all of that kind of stuff. Because I know for me, the only thing I've experienced that was close was I was divorced from my ex wife, and at the time, oh, I was technically at that point a single dad. However, I definitely was not raising them alone. So I can't say that I've had that experience. And then there were times when the kids, the four of them, were all relatively young, and my wife would go places and I'd be with the kids alone and have to cook dinner and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, God, I couldn't imagine if I had to do this every single day as a single man. So I think that's what it is. Plus, in combination with that is that a lot of people, again, that's even more so, like, so black fathers just in general, we're looked at as these unicorns, and single fathers even more so. And then it's like the automatic thought. I know for me, when I divorced my wife and then she was not in the picture, everybody says, well, is she on drugs? Is she this? Is it that? So it can't just be that, you as the father are handling your business. It's got to be that, oh, something was wrong with the mother, and so on and so forth. That kind of perception. So I would honestly love to hear an answer from an actual single dad to see what they go through. I think that would be much more fair, because yes, we get questions in the group and people talk about the situations, but I think it definitely, I would love to hear myself from a single father to really get a good idea of what it is like to have to deal with that. I mean, you got the obvious, less income, that single dad, single mother, and so it's probably a lot of similarities. It's just how you handle it as a man, and then also the perception and whether you get the kind of support. Like, we know single mothers are going to get off the rip. So, like, do single dads get that same kind of support? That whole sort of thing.
Right, right.
I can speak as a single father that raised my
Here we
child.
go.
There we go.
Um, but I won't say it's universal. One of the things that I worried about from the beginning was that I've never I had my mother. I never knew what it's like not to have a mother around. So when you're raising your child as a single parent, you always know there's 50% missing if they're not going to be involved, right? And so for me, I always had that in the back of my mind. Then, some of the roles that are traditionally set for single mothers are some of the roles that I did. Like, for example, nah, I can't really go out with you tonight. I don't have a babysitter, right? Like, maybe we could do something. I can bring my son, those kind of things. And like when I was going to the school and checking on different things, they were like, there's a misconception that, oh, you're just here to do the discipline part, but can you tell the mom? And I was like, there's no mom coming. It's me.
Wow.
And so the helping them understand. Now, on the flip side of it, I would say some of the most understanding women were Black women that understood the struggle that I was going through. So some of them became part of my village, part of my community. Like when I needed to work late or work or go to school, they would say, "Oh, bring them over," and stuff like that. But I think each person's experience is different. I
Hmm.
think my drive to do it and my commitment to it was was as a result of I had to stop the generational curse in my family. My biological father tried to deny my existence. Like I'm not your dad, but you paid child support, right? So I knew when I became a father that I wasn't going to do that. That it had to end there. And so that commitment was the driving force. I don't care if I had to sell newspapers, go to school, whatever the case was. I was going to do whatever it took to be what I didn't receive, and stop that generational dysfunction that's set in place for our community overall.
Right.
If
Right.
I could, if I could just jump in real quick, Orin brought up a good point, and it makes me think about even in my situation, I've remarried. However, my middle son, like always, still put his biological mom on a pedestal, even though she wasn't in his life, and he always longed for that relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
even going as far as disrespecting my wife, which I certainly didn't appreciate, but he just had this thing about him where he longed for what he was missing in his biological mom. So I appreciate you bringing that up because I'm sure that is something if you are a single father and doing it alone because obviously we have the technical definition, you're not married,
Sure,
right? So you're
sure.
single, right? But if you're talking about like you solo dolo, you doing this thing and the other parent is not there, there's still often, very oftentimes, I believe that longing. And then also, like, it was real weird with my son because when when my wife and I separated, he wasn't even 2 years old, and he hadn't seen her for years, but he had so many of her mannerisms. It was scary. Like he
Mm.
walked like her, he lied like her. Like it was, it was so many things. I was like, oh my god, you have not seen her in like 5 years. How do you know? But it's just like that DNA. Like somebody told me once, Kenny Braswell, DNA seeks DNA. So it's always like going to be that in internal kind of pull to have that in your life, the other party who helped create you in your life.
Right. That leads me to my next question. Or you're in mental health, and you may I don't know I don't know if you had these conversations or not with clients. Um, let's just say mom, dad, they have a child together. They
Mm-hmm.
decide to split ways, and child lives with dad. How does that conversation go? What like every case is different, but just in general, like as
Yeah.
far as a whole, how does that conversation go? Is it something the parents explain together, separate? How does that go? And then
It's
the,
pla-
and then
Go
another
ahead.
piece after that. Once that's done, they decide to get a significant other to bring somebody in.
Uh,
And how does that conversation go?
sure. Everything is about planning and preparation. When you plan for things and you try and prepare for it, what we try and help empower families to do is to not keep secrets, to not hide things, to not make it something that is very difficult for anybody to process because there's no safe space to talk about it. So a lot of times, we have to assess the health of the parties involved. Like if there's abuse involved by one of the parents, then obviously that and for the record, let me say abuse happens for men as well. So that's a myth too. But if there's abuse occurring, then you have to be able to do what's in the best interest of the child. When I've participated in custody hearings or divorce or things like that, what we try and do is we try and recognize that each parent has some level of investment and try and get to a place where they can compromise. But when there's no compromise, then we try and coach people to do it the legal way. Like we try and coach them to do what you call it's the first part of family planning when you get in there and you do a mediation, right? And you do this form and you try and negotiate that part. But if it's an amicable situation, then yes, the first experience is to encourage the conversation together, to make sure the kids understand that they're not the cause of the divorce, they're not the reason for this separation, that sometimes people outgrow each other or they don't see eye to eye anymore. And then you start talking about how we're going to plan around it. So working with the parents around creating some sense of normalcy after the split, and those kind of things. And then when you talk about blended families, you talk about bringing in somebody new. Usually that's a process. My clients talk to me ahead of time, like, I'm dating such and such a person. I want my child to meet that person. Okay, so we start to talk about, well, what does that look like? Does the other party know about this? Like, how does this play itself out? And when it's not hostile, it can work really smooth. But when it is hostile, we got to make some concrete decisions. It's always in the best interest of the child. So doesn't matter, whatever the best interest of the child is, that's what we push towards.
Yeah, and one thing about that, I totally agree with that 110%, and I'm gonna tell you why. When I was in Jersey, I was a probation officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in Jersey, and I don't know how long it's been that they changed that or whatever. I don't know if it's been done all this time, but as a probation officer, part of my job was in most of it, well, it was child support, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did home inspections. I was in court. I did drug testing because the judge sometimes a parent would say he's on drugs or she's on drugs, and I would have to, the judge would order me to do a drug test right then and there on them. And one thing I did a lot, I was the front end of, the front end of the process of filing for custody and child support. So one of the things I did first was mediation. If I thought there was a chance for mediation between the two, based on what, I bring them in my office and they'll tell me what's going on. Oh, if it sounds civil, I'm like, we'll do mediation. Even I offered mediation for everybody first. So I'm doing mediation, and they're going back and forth. I had one person bring their child in, and I'm just like, you got to sit them outside. I don't want them to hear this or whatever, just to protect the child. And they just go at it. They just go at it. And if mediation didn't work, okay, all right. So now the mediation ain't working, I gotta send y'all to court. So y'all gotta, the judge will hear it, because if I try to not send it to the judge. But I was saddened by, and I know you said what's the best interest for the child. I was saddened by that a lot of them just didn't care, man. Like, they just didn't care. It was about hurting the other person. And that bothered me, man. So when you say it was the best interest of the child, I immediately thought of that. And for anybody who's watching, when any dad, any mom, don't file for child support because you want to make somebody's life miserable. And I'm trying to stay positive, but I think some people need to hear this. Don't file for child support because he got a new girlfriend. Don't file for child support because she got a new boyfriend. Don't file for child support just because you don't like this person no more. And the crazy thing is, and I'm gonna get off this, but the crazy thing is, you come in, you tell me what a bad mother she is, what a bad person she is. She's mean. She's this. She's that. Did you know that? Was she this way when you met her? Because if she's all this or he's all of this, he ain't this, he ain't that. Well, if you saw all of that in him all that time, what happened? How'd y'all get together, and how'd y'all get as far as sleeping together if that guy or that woman is just so bad? So I've seen a lot, and when I when I get on the Black Fathers Facebook group, it's just like I hear people talk about child support a lot, and every state is different, but it's crazy how the Black Fathers group is like the online barbershop. You know what I mean? People, we talk. And I think, I just want to bring that point up, man. It's just amazing how, a lot of them don't think about the child's best interest,
So just real quick, remember, hurt people hurt people. And so the best thing we could do is promote healing so you can model that for the children that you're trying to protect. So when you heal, you teach children it's okay to heal and that they don't have to hurt people. And the other point is that when you're talking to kids about anything, it's got to be age appropriate. You can't talk to a 6-year-old about detailed divorce proceedings. It's got to be appropriate to the age that they're at.
Right.
So, and there's language for each age. So I just wanted to add those two pieces.
And one
Definitely.
one thing that I've definitely learned is that, or now I wouldn't say learned, but one thing that I know personally through experiences, and my wife and I talk. Well, I talked to my wife about this. A lot of times when I have lost my cool and start cussing, fussing, and all of that, all it's about is the fact that I feel like I'm not being heard and
Mm,
respected.
mm,
And that's what it is a lot. Like, it's not necessarily that the person is mean, it's not necessarily that they're crazy, but sometimes when two people are working to communicate, or one person is working to communicate a point to another, and that person is not really listening to them for understanding. A lot of times we say this all the time, we people listening to respond, like you already know in your head what you're going to come back with. So when that other person says something off the wall and you're like, no, I'm trying to get you to understand that this is the way it is, and you could go at that in a cool, calm, collective way in the beginning, but once you're getting that pushback and that person is not listening to you, then you start to lose flip your lid a little bit, and you might go off the deep end for real. But oftentimes that's really what it comes down to, is just feeling like you're being heard and respected, and what you have to say is is being valued, and I'm really taken into account. If you can get to that point, then you can make a lot of progress. But when you're in that state and nobody's hearing anybody, then all that's going to be is a bunch of chaos.
Right. Right. Definitely. Um, I wanted to bring this question up because I actually seen this happen a couple of weeks ago. Um, have a dad wasn't in the child's life, and um, I had to talk to him about, like, because here's the thing, he's kept buying material things, just kept buying his child stuff, this, that, anything they wanted, they asked, you got it, um, and I said, why do you do that? Why do you buy? He's like, because we were cool enough where I can ask that. I wouldn't just ask anybody that. I'm like, why do you keep buying him stuff and just buying it? No, you're not asking any questions. He's like, well, I wasn't there when he was younger. So his thing was, you know, I shower you with all these material things because I wasn't there. What do y'all think of that? Like what's your perspective on that?
go ahead, Matt.
So I take this, just thinking about my father and my childhood. I don't remember, other than a pair of sunglasses that we got in when we went to Montreal, Canada, and movie tickets, baseball tickets. Like, so there's a few things here and there that I remember my father bought for me, but the most important things that I'll never forget. So again, I got a pair of sunglasses in Montreal, Canada, right? I was like 8 years old. So my father took me to Canada, to Montreal over the weekend, right? We went to a baseball game, so obviously he bought the baseball tickets. But the things that I remember the most are not any material things that he ever got me. The things that I remember the most are the experiences we had, the times we had. I just told somebody the other day, they said, what's your favorite memory of Barry Bonds? I said, man, I went to Montreal, Canada. I was in Olympic Stadium and the Pirates were playing the Expos. Like, I felt like a kid all over again, just telling this story, because this was one of the best times of my life. We went to Mexico, long before 9/11. You could just walk in and chill, and all of that good stuff. We did all of those sorts of things. Every time I see a movie, I think of, if he took me to the movies to see this. Every time I'm in my car and the Orioles are playing on the radio, I'm like, when we used to ride around, he would listen to the Oreos, and now I do that for my children. So the material things will fade. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they will get broken, the clothes will be too small, all of that kind of stuff. But the memories are what last forever. You will always remember those experiences, what you got out of them, the fun you had, and the things that you learned. That's why with my children, it wasn't about buying a whole bunch of stuff. We always were on the go. And people say that. I was just listening. I did an interview with my brother 2 years ago, and I was listening to that yesterday, and he was like, "Man, y'all always traveling. Y'all going every time I see y'all on the go." And that's really what it's about, to get these kids these experiences, to know there's more to the world than East Baltimore. There's more to the world than East Atlanta. You know, it's so much more. So we go all over the place. We go to Chattanooga. We go to Birmingham. At some point we're gonna get to Memphis, and that's what it's about. That's the things. My kids been to Kennebunkport, Maine. You
Mm.
know, how many black kids
Right.
can say they sat
Right.
on the rocks and looked over at the Bush estate? I don't care what you think about George Bush. I was in Kennebunkport, Maine with my kids, man. So, it's all of that sort of stuff. So don't don't think that, you have to go out and buy all these things and think that's gonna make up for lost time. It's not. The only
Right.
thing that makes up for lost time is more time. That's it. Give them that
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
So I would say that guilty parenting is probably the most common mistake that I see in parenting. That is when you feel bad and feel like instead of parenting, you need to make up for it. And when you guilty parent, it diminishes the relationship, and it takes away and it teaches a secondary behavior. And one of the behaviors it teaches is what we call a transactional relationship, where the relationship is just based on exchange, and that, like Matt so eloquently put, is not something that is built for depth. I've seen parents that guilty parent that will destroy their marriage, their relationships, their family relationships, all because they feel bad. And so becoming one of those dads that a lot of times, in all fairness to people, is that they don't know how to, right? But I don't see that as excuse. There's a question that has a solution to it, and you got to go seek it out. You got to go talk to somebody who might be able to help you. You got to sign up for the Black Fathers Foundation. You got to listen to these podcasts. You got to do these things to try and increase your knowledge base, because some people think that, oh, if I can put a smile on your face in the moment, then that'll excuse it. So guilty parenting
Mm-hmm.
will destroy relationships. So I've always tried to discourage that.
Right. Right. So before we about to wind down, but this is one thing I want to ask. Not so much ask, but myths. All right, myths. I got one myth that
Mm.
I want y'all to talk about. Okay, and I'm going to say the myth, and you give me your response. All right, men who didn't have fathers can't be good fathers. I'm gonna say it again because there's somebody that might, somebody who might think this. Men who didn't have fathers growing up cannot be good fathers. What do y'all think of that?
So first, I don't necessarily buy into the whole good thing and the real and that. I think everybody has a responsibility to do the best they can. So I try not to judge and say, oh, you're a good father, you this, you that. Are you there? Are you responsible? Are you giving it your all? And I don't. One thing I've seen for sure in the group is a sheer determination by so many people to be the father that their father was not. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely do not agree with that, because I see it, and what people are doing with their children, what they're saying about being fathers and showing that grit and determination. A lot of people become great fathers because of their fathers not being there, you know.
I
And
totally
yeah, I
agree.
understand. I did say great, but I said I don't get into the whole good thing. But they they do become dedicated fathers who handle their responsibility very well. I,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they can successfully raise children and have healthy whole children in spite of sometimes maybe even better than some of us spoiled cats who had our dads around.
Hmm. And I look at it as a fallacy. It's too simplistic. It ignores too many things. There are some people who have fathers in the home and they were terrorists in the home, and they shouldn't have been. So the fact that somebody in the myth would imply that the absence of something means you're not capable of something is a fallacy in every sense of the word, because that would apply to everything if that was true. So if Matt, you like to hoop. If your dad didn't play in the NBA, you can't hoop.
Right.
Like if you helping somebody turn their life around. Oh, so if you didn't smoke crack, you can't help them. Like those kind of that kind of thinking is kind of too simplistic. And unless you got the manual when your child was born on how to raise children great, this is trial by error. You're going to learn on the fly. Your
Yeah,
job is to do the best you can, ask the right questions, try not to make the same mistake over and over again. But there's no exact science, and there's definitely more than one way to raise a child correct.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So what I'm going to do now, because we're coming to an end of the show, and we got to come back because there's a lot more we should talk about. I'm gonna get your final thoughts. I'm gonna get Matt your final thoughts. It could be anything, whatever, anything related to this. Orin, I'm gonna get your final thoughts, and then I'm gonna give you guys the opportunity to tell me whatever you got going on, any special events. If how we can contact you for any type of service or anything that you're offering. So I want to get your final thoughts. I'm gonna start with you, Matt.
All right. So a couple things. One, I'm definitely grateful for this opportunity, and I love and appreciate the evolution that I've seen over the years since since the time I started working with fathers, but more specifically since the creation of Black fathers. And I love seeing how much a perception has actually changed and how much people love celebrating fatherhood. It's one of the most beautiful things in the world to see young fathers who just absolutely love being fathers and want the world to know. So whether it's in the group Black Fathers or whether it's in society and all of that, it's a beautiful thing to me to see this evolution and to see like going places on Father's Day and people are taking their fathers out. And we always hear about, oh, the restaurants are empty on Father's Day, but on Mother's Day and all of that. So the conversations that we have and the things that we do, the actions we take have led to this evolution and this greater appreciation of fathers and fathers themselves having a greater appreciation of their responsibilities and a greater dedication to carry them out. So I just want to see us continue to grow as a group, grow as a people, to come together. We have people in the group from all over the world. So it's a great opportunity for us to really come together throughout the diaspora as African people and really show what we are made of and just to continue to take it and elevate it, the whole idea of Black fatherhood and fatherhood in general. But of course, I'm really specific about Black fatherhood in case y'all didn't know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Orin.
So I just want to say I started off this conversation by saying that wherever you are, whoever's listening, you are enough today. Take today and make that be the day that you want to get 1% better at being a father, at being a man. So somebody ask me in therapy, well, what does that mean? Well, that means what can I do today to be just a little bit better at fatherhood? What can I do today just to be a better man? A better, for women listening, a better mom, a better woman. I, the thing that we have to remember is that we're a product of our experiences, but in America, some of our experiences have been influenced by people's need to be in control. And so when we balance our history with where we're going, we come up with these magical things. And I just encourage people to continue to be great and just being enough.
Right, right. And thank you, brothers, for those final words, final thoughts. One thing I want to say is that people's time is valuable, and we don't get enough time. To me, in life, we don't get enough time. Every moment, should be used for something important. Whether you're just relaxing or you're just helping kids out on the streets or helping the community. So time is valuable, and my point in saying that is that I want to thank you, brothers, for taking your time, your valuable time, to come on here. I feel blessed to have the opportunity to have y'all on here. Um, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate both of y'all to the fullest. I mean, y'all just don't understand. Like, people take this stuff for granted when people, oh, I'll come on the show, but it's people's time. It's people's knowledge that they're sharing, their experiences. So I want to thank y'all straight up right now. Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it, man. I appreciate y'all. And y'all know y'all got to come back on here. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Definitely.
We coming, we'll come back on here. We're going to do something. So right
We can
now,
talk about the foundation some more.
yes,
That's
and
what we
we're
can
gonna do that too. Yeah, yeah. So Orin, I'm gonna have you. If you have anything going on, any promotions, or how can we get in contact with you if we want to use your service?
If you can email me at inspiredlead@gmail.com. I have a lot of things going on that, if people are interested in, they can reach out to me. I can talk more about. Today, I just really wanted it to be about, to be honest, like the Black Fathers Foundation and some of the wonderful things that they're doing. And just let me say thank you back in return to you for creating a platform for men to actually come. It's therapeutic for us. I don't know, Matt. I don't want to speak for him, to be able to come and share some of the lessons that we learned along the way. And hopefully that somebody else can connect to it. So I appreciate it. I'm not going to promote today. Let's talk about Black Fathers
All
Foundation.
right, all right.
Sure. Yes. So what we have going on currently, we are building out a storehouse, which is a storage unit that we have in Alpharetta, Georgia, where we're seeking collections. We have a registry on Walmart currently, and we're getting ready to do an Amazon wish list. So we are collecting items right now. Yes, sir. So you see all of the baby items. We're also going to get into essential items for fathers, and we will be doing periodically. I'll have to see the frequency, but for whatever the frequency is when we create it, we will be doing distributions for fathers in need. So we'll get forms together, and fathers can fill them out and apply to receive this assistance when we do our donations. So if you jump on, I don't know if you have the link, but it's on the Black Fathers Foundation page for sure. If everybody could go like that page, then you can keep up with the things that we're doing, and you'll see about the storehouse. We have some other things coming down the pipeline. I'm putting together an event in Atlanta in Centennial Park coming up in the spring called The Great Day in the A. We're going to have a photo shoot with fathers reminiscent of the great day in Harlem where the shot was taken, a beautiful shot of the artist. We want to get multiple shots of fathers in action, but we definitely want to have one great shot, like a group shot, and then we're going to utilize these photos in different capacities. And that's one way that we not only bring the fathers together for this social event, which is fantastic, but we also continue to show the world who we are. So through these pictures, they say, pictures speak 1,000 words. So we're going to utilize these pictures. I don't want to give too much away, but it might be a couple photo books. It might be maybe an exhibit here in Atlanta, So just, we got some stuff cooking. But please like the Black Fathers Foundation page on Facebook. Go to our website, Black Fathers Foundation. If you feel like you just got some money burning a hole in your pocket and you want to donate to us, you go on and do that right there and help support our work. I appreciate it.
And I'm going to put those links in the comments in this video on YouTube and Facebook. So there's no excuse. You're going to have the link. Don't say he said the link too fast. So don't say you didn't catch him. I'm going to put it in the comments. All right. So y'all make sure y'all support that, support these, our brothers. And let's make something happen, man. Gentlemen, I appreciate you. I want you to stay on when we go out with this intro, but I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, thank you for listening. We out of here. We love you. and do something great for somebody. All right. And we out. Y'all stay on. All right. We out of
Exactly.
here. Later. Have a good
Peace.
one, y'all.
Thank you for watching the Speak Now Hold Your Peace live broadcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and join us on the Speak Now Hold Your Peace Facebook group.